On the 28th of February 2026, the USA and Israel announced a joint military operation against Iran, Operation Epic Fury, reigniting Iranian hostilities.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
In the weeks leading up to this operation, the Trump administration had begun accumulating an armada of fighters, bombers, tankers, and 2 aircraft carriers in the Middle East. Before the announcement was made by Trump, the attack had already begun. Tomahawk missiles and F-16s were inbound on hundreds of targets. The barrage of US and Israeli missiles and bombs landed across the country, hitting key security and political targets in Tehran, including the residence of Iran's supreme leader, and ballistic missile caches on the peripheries of the country. Iran, unprepared for the attack, was unable to resist, causing panic across the country. Among the targets was Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian. Further reports from Iranian media reported strikes on the Ministry of Intelligence, the Ministry of Defense, the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, and the Pashin military complex. There have been conflicting reports on the status of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran's foreign minister told NBC News that the supreme leader is alive, as far as he is aware.
Can you confirm with specificity that the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is alive, and separately that the Iranian president is alive right now following these American and Israeli strikes?
As far as I know, yes, they are alive, and the head of judiciary as well, the head of the Speaker of Parliament as well, all high-ranking officials are alive, and the secretary of the National Security Council. So everybody is now in its position, and we are handling this situation, and everything is fine.
On the other side, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has suggested that the leader is being killed, stating, "All indications show that he is no longer with us."
This morning, in a powerful surprise attack, the compound of the tyrant Khamenei was destroyed in the heart of Tehran. For 3.5 decades, this cruel tyrant who spread terror across the world, oppressed his people, and labored relentlessly without pause on the plan to destroy Israel. That plan is no more, and there are many signs that this tyrant is also no more.
We've just had news from the Iranian state media now accepting the reality that the Supreme Leader Khamenei is dead. We're told that by President Trump and the Israelis. The Israeli Prime Minister had suggested as much in the last few hours. The Iranians denied it, now they accept it. The Supreme Leader for 40 years, or thereabouts, Khamenei, has been killed.
Iran's retaliation to the military strike was swift. It launched waves of missiles at Israel, while striking US military bases in 5 Gulf countries, namely in Qatar at the Al Udeid Air Base, the largest American military base in the region, and the US Navy base in Bahrain. The skies across the region lit up as intercept missiles struck down the Iranian missile barrage. Iran's most dangerous weapon, known as the Khamenei-4, with a range of 2,000 kilometers, can strike anywhere in Israel. The remaining missile arsenal available to Iran for further strikes is currently unknown. However, public data available, analysed by think tanks on defence, shows the consensus is that Iran has some 1,500 missiles left in its arsenal. The number of missile launches is harder to determine. But data suggests it could be anywhere up to 350 launches. This means 350 missiles could be simultaneously launched, thus posing a significant risk to Israel and other actors within the region. Iran's retaliatory strike against the US, targeting the Gulf nations, has seemingly unified the region against the Iranian regime. Saudi Arabia announced it would aid countries in repelling Iranian attacks. The Saudi Minister of Foreign Affairs affirmed the kingdom's full solidarity with the countries concerned and its firm support for them, further stating that it would mobilize all its capabilities to assist its neighbors in any measures they undertake. The UAE emphasized that the country's security is indivisible from its Gulf neighbors, and any infringement on the sovereignty of any state constitutes a direct threat to the security and stability of the entire region. The Kingdom of Bahrain released a statement saying the government affirmed its full right to respond and to take full necessary measures to defend its national security and safeguard its sovereignty in coordination with its allies and partners. Qatar took a less confrontational posture and called for efforts to contain the crisis in a manner that preserves the security of the region, safeguards the interests of its people, and prevents a slide into broader confrontations, though it did warn it reserves the right to retaliate in the face of Iranian strikes. The UK, France, and Germany released a joint statement calling for Iran to refrain from further indiscriminate military strikes, with the three leaders urging Iranian leadership to seek a peaceful solution, and adding that, ultimately, the Iranian people must be allowed to determine their future, a reference to the anti-regime protests that were forcibly and violently put down a few months earlier.
The United Kingdom played no role in these strikes, but we have long been clear. The regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. They have murdered thousands of their own people, brutally crushed dissent, and sought to destabilize the region. Even in the United Kingdom, the Iranian regime poses a direct threat to dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, they have backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil. So it is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US. I condemn Iran's attacks today on partners across the region, many of which are not parties to this conflict.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also said that British planes were in the sky in the Middle East as part of a defensive operation to protect our people, our interests, and our allies.
We extend our support and solidarity to them as part of our commitments to the security of our allies in the Middle East. We have a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we've recently strengthened. Our forces are active, and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people, our interests, and our allies.
The official reason given for the attack by President Donald Trump is that he's been disappointed with the way Iran's authorities have violently cracked down on protests. He also indicated that he wants Iran to agree to a new deal on its nuclear program, expressing frustration with the slow progress of diplomacy.
They cannot continue to threaten the stability of the entire region, and they must make a deal. Or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't.
Israel's goals appear to be more obvious. The country has long viewed Iran as an existential threat because of its repeated threats to annihilate Israel.
I will not hide from you that I express my skepticism of any deal with Iran because, frankly, Iran is reliable on one thing. They lie and they cheat. But I said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world. There shall be no enrichment capability, not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place.
So what led us to this moment? Going back to the 13th of June 2025, Israel began its assault on the Iranian nuclear program, ballistic missile sites, and energy facilities. Israel's stated aim was to stop Iran developing a nuclear weapon. Iran insists it has not been developing a nuclear weapon, but it has had a complicated history with nuclear enrichment. Back in 2015, the United States, under President Barack Obama, reached an agreement with Iran on its nuclear program, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the Iranian nuclear deal. This agreement constrained Iran's nuclear program and provided confidence it was not continuing to progress towards a nuclear weapon. However, the agreement permitted Iran to keep a comparatively small amount of monitored, low-enriched uranium. Thus, the Iranian deal did not extinguish all Iranian nuclear activity. Rather, it aimed to ensure transparency. If Iran took steps towards weapon capabilities, the world would know.
Today, after 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not. A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change. Change that makes our country and the world safer and more secure.
In 2018, the United States, under President Donald Trump, unilaterally withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal. In 2019, Iran accelerated its uranium enrichment, no longer constrained by the USA. In 2021, Iran would once again agree to nuclear security protocols dictated by the USA after being pressured by sanctions. In 2014, the Nuclear Enrichment Monitoring Agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, raised concerns that Iran was obstructing their ability to accurately monitor nuclear sites. In 2025, the Atomic Energy Agency reported Iran had increased its stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, the only non-nuclear weapon state enriching to this level.
The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog says Iran is very close to enriching nuclear material to required levels for nuclear weapons. He stressed the need to work with the country to combat its very ambitious nuclear program. The IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi told journalists in Vienna that there is evidence that suggests Iran is continuing to develop new centrifuges. The nuclear material Iran currently possesses is 60% enriched. A nuclear warhead requires 90% uranium enrichment. Grossi says unless the 2015 nuclear deal is revived, it's only a matter of time before Tehran develops a nuclear bomb.
Israel alone was not able to target Iran's deep underground bunkers containing the enrichment facilities. On the 22nd of June 2025, the United States conducted a strike on Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities using American bunker busters. Donald Trump reports in a live address that Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
A preliminary assessment by US intelligence, which has not been published but has been cited in the media, suggests the US action may have put back Iran's nuclear program by months. The Director General of International Atomic Energy Agency said that Iran retains the industrial capacity and knowledge required to resume enrichment work, and that ultimately, diplomacy and inspections are required to restrict its program.
If we don't know where the highly enriched uranium is and cannot account for all the centrifuges, is there still a risk that they could be rushing towards a bomb?
We don't want to be alarmists here, and I don't want to be part of a messaging that would be spreading, as I say, alarm. But we need to be in a position to ascertain, to confirm what is there and where is it and what happened. Iran had a very vast, ambitious program, and part of it may still be there, and if not, there is also the self-evident truth that the knowledge is there, the industrial capacity is there. Iran is a very sophisticated country in terms of nuclear technology, as is obvious. So you cannot disinvent this, you cannot undo the knowledge that you have or the capacities that you have. It's a huge country, isn't it? So I think this should be the incentive that we all must have to understand that military operations or not, you are not going to solve this in a definitive way militarily.
In response to the United States attack, Iran launched missiles against the US military bases in Qatar, but no casualties are reported. After this attack, a ceasefire is put in place, starting on the 24th of June 2025. On December 2025, protests erupt across Iran, with people demanding fundamental change and a political system that respects human rights and dignity. Iranian authorities responded with violent crackdowns and cut all internet access across the country. The UN has suggested that the death toll from Iran's violent crackdowns could be as high as 20,000 people. On the 19th of February, US President Donald Trump has warned Iran it has 10 to 15 days to reach a deal over its nuclear program, or really bad things will happen. Iran's envoy to the United Nations said Tehran will respond decisively to any military action. On February 26, 2026, the US and Iran continue talks over its nuclear program in Geneva, but are unable to come to an agreement. The talks seem to have broken down over Iran's continued support of armed resistance fighters across the Middle East, with a senior Iranian official saying that the US and Iran could reach a framework for a deal if Washington separated nuclear and non-nuclear issues. However, the Trump administration has insisted that Iran's ballistic missile program and its support for armed groups in the region must be part of the negotiations. 2 days later, on the 28th, the strikes across Iran happened, as already spoken about. What we are witnessing is not just another flare-up in the long shadow war between Israel and Iran. It is the product of failed leadership on multiple fronts. President Donald Trump framed the strikes as strength, but strength without strategy is recklessness. After withdrawing from the nuclear deal in 2018, and Trump showing a propensity towards the use of force, diplomacy has been boxed into a corner. If the objective was lasting security, Operation Epic Fury seems like it'll only deliver regional escalation and uncertainty. But responsibility does not rest in Washington alone. Iran's regime has systematically failed its own people, crushing protests, obstructing nuclear inspections, enriching uranium to dangerous levels, and funding armed proxies across the region. A government that rules through repression at home and military abroad cannot credibly claim victimhood when confrontation arrives at its doorstep. Trump may have proven himself a poor negotiator in this crisis, impatient, maximalist, and ultimately willing to gamble on force. Yet, Iran's leadership helped create the very conditions that made such a gamble politically possible. The tragedy is that once again, it is ordinary Iranians and civilians across the region who will bear the cost of two governments that mistake escalation for strength and power for legitimacy. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe.